New York City has an ancient, complicated past. Its history predates European contact. It would later be settled by the Dutch and ruled by the English. It was the original United States capital. Get ready to uncover the secrets of the Big Apple's past and experience the city like never before. Here are top 15 New York City's most fascinating, ancient historical places. 1. The African Burial Ground National Monument. This site is sacred ground. It contains remnants of free and enslaved Africans. They were born and lived or died in New York in the 17th and early 18th centuries. 6.6 acres were covered by the burial ground. The African Burial Ground is an important national landmark. It brings attention to the lives of enslaved people in New York. The site was forgotten for 200 years, but its rediscovery in 1991 changed New York's history. In the late 17th century, the colonial government set aside this land for burials outside the stockade wall of New Amsterdam. Africans were not allowed to be buried in Manhattan's churchyards, so the burial ground was used from the 1640s until 1794. Population. Historians have estimated 15,000 to 20,000 burials were conducted here. It was the final resting place of New York's colonial African society. The rediscovery. Excavation for a federal office building spurred archaeological surveys. This excavation unearthed the graves. The discoveries. The archaeologists unearthed 419 human remains. The bone, teeth, and artifacts were analyzed by them. The examination revealed the tough life of the dead. There were signs of excessive physical stress and labor on the bones. Burial practices. Grave orientations showed West African burial customs. Waist beads and personal belongings were among the artifact. These items bore witness to African cultural continuity in spite of enslavement. Inscription. The site was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1993. It was declared a national monument in 2006. It is the country's largest and oldest known African burial ground. Action. The ancestral chamber of the monument is 24 feet below street level. It sits atop a portion of the actual burial ground. The design is a reverent recognition of the ancestors beneath. 2. Wyckoff Farmhouse Museum. The Wyckoff Farmhouse is the oldest extant building in New York State. It is the embodiment of the early Dutch farming frontier. Peter Clausen Wyckoff was an early settler who arrived in 1637. The original structure dates from around $1652. Peter Clausen Wyckoff was an illiterate farm overseer. He was an employee of the Dutch West India Company. He assisted in the founding of the New Netherland colony. The house is a fine representation of Dutch colonial architecture. Construction date. The earliest part is the $1,652 core. Dendrochronology or tree ring dating verified the age of the original wood. Architecture. The roof of the house is steeply pitched with a low profile. It features a common Dutch frame style. The original elements are the front room and long room division. The long room was used as the living space and kitchen. Expansion. The house expanded over time. A large addition was built about $1,730. There was a small addition in about 1819. The additions preserved the original frame. Land use. The farm occupied many acres in the Brooklyn section called the Flatlands. The land was farmed by the Wyckoff family for over 250 years. They were one of the original European families to be established on Long Island. Historical preservation. The house was damaged by fire in 1981. Restoration worked. It is focused around the 1820 appearance of the building. It was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1967. 3rd, Bowling Green. oldest public park in Manhattan. It was a parade grounds and meeting place. Dutch named the land in 1626. It was called Bowling Green in 1733. Colonists protested British taxation here. Bowling Green is one of the Lower Manhattan's smallest parks. It is the city's oldest publicly owned space. The Dutch made it a parade ground in 1626. It remains a historic anchor in the financial district. The use of the park changed over time. It originally served as a Dutch cattle market. It was named by the colonial English for its current name, 1733, lease. During 1733, the Common Council legally established it as a bowling green. The annual rent was a peppercorn. It was due to the Crown on demand. During 1733, the Common Council legally established it as a bowling green. The annual rent was a peppercorn. It was due to the Crown on demand. The fence, the famous cast iron fence, surrounds the park. It was erected in 1771. It was put there to protect the statue of King George III. Revolutionary protest. Patriots rioted against the king's rule here. Citizens toppled the statue. July 1776. After reading the Declaration of Independence, melted down the lead into 42,000 musket balls, cut off the ornamental finials on the fence. The rough tops can be seen today. Park size. The park is 0.51 acres in size. It is a small but history-rich lot. Present designation. Bowling Green was a New York City landmark designated in 1973. It retains its 18th century fence frames. Fourth Bown House. The building was a Quaker meeting house. John Bown built it in 1661. Bown fought for religious freedom. His fight was against Dutch Governor Peter Stuyvesant. Bown's court challenge of 1663 established a precedent for religious tolerance. The Bown House stands as a symbol of religious freedom. The main building was built by John Bown in 1661. He was a Quaker who opposed the Dutch establishment. The house is among the oldest houses in New York City. It represents a rare remaining link to the Flushing Dutch and English colonial eras. John Bown's stand. Bown made his house available for Quaker meetings. This was illegal under the regime of Director General Peter Stuyvesant. Stuyvesant banned non-Dutch Reformed worship. Exile and appeal. Bown refused to end the meetings. He was arrested in 1662 and banished to Holland. He appealed directly to the Dutch West India Company, the Flushing Remonstrance. Bown's case was aided by the 1657 Flushing Remonstrance. The petition gave an argument based on Dutch law grounds of religious tolerance. Bown's successful appeal of 1663 forced the company to overturn Stuyvesant. The company instructed Stuyvesant to text suffer all to whom God gives a share in the conscience to text worship freely in their own houses. Historical significance. This 1663 decision established one of the first religious freedom protections in North America. It set a precedent 128 years before the U.S. Bill of Rights. Preservation. The house remained in 9 generations of the Bown family. They kept it until 1945. It holds original 17th and 18th century furniture. 5. Fraunces Tavern. It was constructed in 1719. It is a historic building in the city. It was a pivotal meeting place. The Sons of Liberty convened here. George Washington's headquarters following the evacuation by the British was here. Fraunces Tavern is a Revolutionary War site. The building was constructed in 1719. It was a waterfront tavern and public house. It has had a constant function throughout American history. The first constructor was Stephen Delancey, a Huguenot merchant. Samuel Francis, an innkeeper, purchased the building in 1762. He made it the Queen's Head Tavern. The building survived times of acute conflict, revolutionary function. The Sons of Liberty had secret meetings in the tavern. The New York Chamber of Commerce, established in 1768, also convened here for the first time. Seat of government. After the British evacuation in 1783, the new government of America made the building its headquarters. The departments of Foreign Affairs, War, and Treasury temporarily housed the building. Washington's farewell. The most famous occasion was on December 4, 1783. General George Washington and his officers assembled in the Long Room. He spoke his emotional farewell speech to them before he resigned his commission. This was the nonviolent transfer of military to civilian authority. Structure and restoration. 2 major fires hit the building. 6. The current structure is a restoration, mostly carried out in 1907. The Sons of the Revolution in the state of New York oversaw the work. They acquired the property in 1904. The top floor serves as a museum. 6th, St. Paul's Chapel. It is Manhattan's oldest and continuously used public building. It was completed in 1766. George Washington prayed here. He did so shortly after his 1789 inauguration. It is an excellent example of Georgian classicist architecture. St. Paul's Chapel is situated in Trinity Church Parish. It is the oldest surviving church structure in Manhattan. It was built between 1764 and 1766. Its architecture is a fine example of Georgian architecture. The chapel building is a testament to an unbroken history. It is a peaceful haven amidst Lower Manhattan's chaos. Architecture. Scottish architect Thomas McBean constructed the chapel. It is patterned after St. Martin in the Fields Church in London. Exterior is made of brownstone and Manhattan schist. The interior features a gilded, carved 1789 pulpit. Washington's pew. After his inauguration on April 30th, 1789, George Washington had walked from Federal Hall to St. Paul's. He had said prayers of thanks. His pew, reserved for the President of the United States, is still indicated in the Fire of 1776. The Great Fire of 1776 consumed a quarter of New York City, including the original Trinity Church. St. Paul's Chapel was unscathed. The fire stopped short nearby, sparing the building. 9/11. Haven. The chapel served a vital purpose in 2001. It was the oldest building close to the World Trade Center. The chapel grounds were opened as a relief center. Volunteers provided food, beds, and counseling to rescue workers. It was not structurally damaged, earning it the name text, the little chapel that stood. 7. Morris Jumel Mansion. It was built in 1765. It is Manhattan's oldest residence. George Washington used it as his headquarters. This was when there was the 1776 Battle of Harlem Heights. Later, Aaron Burr married Eliza Jumel in this house. The Morris Jumel Mansion is Manhattan's oldest residence. It was built in 1765 for a wealthy British colonel named Roger Morris. It served as a tactical military headquarters for both sides of the Revolutionary War. The mansion sits on a high point in Washington Heights. The top spot provided the house with good views of the Harlem River and the Hudson River. The house was surrounded by activity throughout the 1776 campaign for New York. Architecture. The house is built in the Palladian style. The house boasts a lavish 2-story portico with 4 gigantic columns. This was unprecedented for an American home of that period. The house reflected Morris's desires to be aristocratic. George Washington's use. Following the American defeat at the Battle of Long Island, Washington briefly used the mansion as a headquarters. He occupied it from September 14th to October 20th, 1776. He planned the successful counterattack which developed into the Battle of Harlem Heights. Later ownership. It was later purchased by Stephen Jumel in 1810. After his death, his widow Eliza Jumel married ex-Vice President Aaron Burr in 1833. They lived there for a brief period before they fell out with each other. Museum status. The house became open to the public as a museum in 1904. It contains colonial, early Republic, and Victorian-era artifacts and furniture. 8. The Conference House. The Stone Mansion House is on Staten Island. It was where a peace conference was held. This conference took place on September 11, 1776. Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Edward Rutledge met with Lord Howe. The peace attempt failed. The conference house is located at the southern tip of Staten Island. The most notable claim to fame of the conference house is the unsuccessful peace conference held there in 1776. The building itself is an example of 17th century architecture. The stone manor house was initially built by Christopher Billop around about 1680. The estate was one of a large property called the Bentley Manor. The house was constructed using local stone. The meeting. September 11, 1776. The British Commander-in-Chief, Lord Richard Howe, held a meeting. It was an attempt on his part to sign a peace treaty. Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and Edward Rutledge constituted the 3 members of the Continental Congress. The demand. There was a suggestion of a temporary peace, but by sacrificing the repeal of the Declaration of Independence, the demand was turned down by the American delegates. Outcome: the 3-hour conference failed. The loss confirmed the colonists that they would be independent. It meant that negotiations were finished until after the war. Architecture. The house is built with the heavy, thick walls typical of Dutch colonial building in the region. The stonework was protective and insulating. Preservation. The building was purchased by the city of New York in 1926. It was converted into a museum dedicated to the peace conference. It was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1966. 9. King Manor Museum. This was the home of Rufus King. He was a signer of the U.S. Constitution. He was an early critic of slavery. The house and property date back to 1776. King lived here from 1805 to 1827. King Manor was the home of early American statesman Rufus King. He was a delegate to the Constitutional Convention. King was also a U.S. Senator and Minister to Great Britain. The house and surrounding parkland date from the 18th century. The property displays the Queens County past of a rural agricultural center before modern development. The main house structure developed from a small 1750s Dutch-style structure. Rufus King's tenure. King purchased the property in $1805. He lived there until his death in 1827. He oversaw significant architectural expansion of the house. Political life. King was one of only 3 delegates to sign both the Articles of Confederation and the U.S. Constitution. He was an early and vocal critic of slavery. As a senator, he argued forcefully against the expansion of slavery into new states. This placed him ahead of his time in abolitionist sentiment. Architecture. The house was remodeled several times, giving it a mix of architectural styles. Its current appearance is largely in the federal style of the early 19th century. Park creation. After the King family sold the property in 1897, the house and 11.5 acres of land were converted into a public park. The house was established as a museum in 1900. Data. King served 5 terms as a U.S. Senator from New York. He ran for vice president in 1804 and 1808, and for president in 1816.